dragging on the promises and songs of yesterday. And I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. Here I go again. Here I go again. So I keep searching for an answer. Never seem to find what I'm looking for. Lord, I pray you give me strength to carry on. 'Cause I know what it means to walk along the lonely street of dreams. Here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone. I've made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time. I'm just another heart in need of rescue, waiting on love's sweet charity. And I'm gonna hold on for the rest of my days, 'cause I know in me to walk along the lonely street of dreams. And here I go again on my own, going down the only road I've ever known. Like a drifter, I was born to walk alone. And I made up my mind. I ain't wasting no more time, but here I go again. Here I go again. Here I go again. Here I go.
So here we go again. Hello, hello. Can you ladies name who sings that song?
Geez, I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue.
You're looking, when in doubt,
No,
look
it's-
about. All right, 1, 2, 3. White Snake.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course.
Isn't that a great song?
It
So
is a good song.
here he goes again. I hope you listen to those lyrics of that song. And hello, everybody out there. This is Tracy. You're listening to the Shrink and Wrap Show right here at TAN Talk Radio. That's 106.1. And do not change that dial, because I'm going to give you a phone number today. We are going to be talking about modern dating in today's world. And we have our guest today, Karen. Karen, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
And you are kind of interested in about knowing more about dating and compared to old school dating, right?
Mhm.
So, and there's so many women out there and men who have this question. Tell us more about modern dating. So thank you for coming on
Of
the show
course.
today.
Yep.
And we have Trish here today, who's going to be talking about our nonprofit segment. Thank you so much for being here. We've got some good nonprofit segments coming up, right?
We do.
Or events.
Yes, events.
Events, that's right. And Trish has been with me for 2 years. And so thank you
We're
for
going.
that.
We're going on 3 years now, right?
Is it 3?
Well, it's more than 2.
I was only going to do one show. And I always say Whippersnapper Lola came out and I signed a contract that I don't even know what I signed. I go, okay, let's just do it with no experience. And then we have DJ Ed. Ed, thank you for dealing with me as always.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Yeah, thank you so much for all that you do. And to all of my raps, we have Detective Jay coming on today. Is going to be talking about dating and safety for men, of what they should look out for when dating in a modern world. So we have that. And we
Yes,
have
for
Renee
both.
coming up for entertainment tonight, because this show is about love. The Shrink and Wrap Show. What we do here is we have shrinks who are licensed therapists, and we have wraps who are my friends and people in the community. Again, this is your community station. We're here just to kind of figure life out together. And I want everyone to understand that this is a show that's based only on suggestions and opinions. even from our licensed therapists. It's only suggestions and opinions. This show and every show I've done and every show I'll do. And I want to thank my sponsor, and just know that this show is the energy comes from love, from friends and community. And again, this is your station community, the Shrink and Wrap Show. So with all that being said, we are going to be talking again about modern dating. We're going to be talking about some of the apps. We're going to be talking about serial dating. We're going to save chemistry for later because I think there's so much to talk about chemistry.
Definitely.
So we're going to have our shrink number 4, Roween, come on. But before we do, I definitely need a loosen up song. So take it away with our loosen up song, please.
With me, but babe, that's what I need. Please, now just this once. Dance, baby. You don't wanna sing with me, but babe, that's what I need. Please, now just this once. Sing, baby. Sing, baby. Come now, do this just for me. I don't ask so much. Give me love, baby. Oh, please now, do this just for me. I don't ask so much. Give me love, baby.
So give me love, but how can you give me love if you might have some issues that you're not even aware of, commitment issues and that sort of thing. So when you start dating, someone's got to love themselves and understand themselves in order to give love. And that's what today is all about. It's about dating. And we're going to talk about commitment issues that can possibly prevent you from moving forward. So we have Roween. Do we have Roween on the line? Roween.
We do.
Hello there. How are you doing this week?
Hello there. I am doing well. Just really busy, but other than that, great.
I know. Thank you so much for being on the Shrink and Wrap Show. And for all of you out there that are listening, Roween is our shrink number 4, and she's with us pretty much every week. And we thank her. And again, this is just suggestions and opinions. So together we try to figure this world out. And so I called you this morning, I texted you, and I said, I'm putting the show together now because it's been a super busy week. And I had asked, can we talk a little bit in the modern world, can we talk about commitment issues psychologically? Whether it's you or someone you're dating, can you take us in that direction to maybe help break that barrier when you start dating?
Well, attachment starts at birth. And so there are several kinds of attachment issues, and it's really important to take a look at them. But as I think what happens to us as we get older and we've been hurt and we've experienced various kinds of trauma, while we begin to heal, we are ever vigilant for the red flags. And sometimes I think what keeps us separate, and what I've noticed in my clients, what keeps them from finding good partners, is always looking for the red flag. And our brain is really interesting in that whatever we tell it, it's going to search for to prove. So, for example, if we wake up in the morning and say it's going to be a great day, then our brain sets in motion to look for things that make it a great day. If we wake up in the morning and say, oh, it's going to be an awful day, then our brain searches for confirmation of that. So when we've been in the dating world, when we say there are no good men left or there are no good women left, then our brain searches to support that. And we see all of those red flags. So the first thing that we can do to help kind of ameliorate all the commitment issues is to start out by saying there are plenty of good people out there for me to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And while we all have little quirks and eccentricities at the core, there are lots of really good people. And stop looking for the red flags.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we think ourselves about the red flags, what are the ones that we might be putting out there based on our own experiences, fears, concerns, and self-worth issues? I had a client the other day that says, oh, nobody over 60 ever finds a partner. Well, that's kind of a bad sign for yourself if you're over 60, because you've always put in your brain that you're not going to find anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be something wrong with everyone.
Attitude is everything.
Mm-hmm.
Attitude is certainly the beginning of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so to begin looking for green flags instead of red flags in the potential partners that you want to be. And then being willing to have a little patience as you work through it. One of the questions that I often get asked is about chemistry and limerence. And chemistry can happen in the first few seconds, first few moments, or it can happen in the first few dates. And at the beginning of every relationship, we engage in something called limerence. There's a few different definitions of limerence, some good, some not so good, but it's the biological state that has helped us to connect to partners and want to stay with them so that we can procreate. That was the original part of us who went into limerence. And limerence can last from those first few minutes after dating for up to 18 months. And then the work of then kind of the glow wears off a little bit. You begin to see the real person, and you begin to experience yourself as the real person. Yeah, if there's not that spark, that chemistry, the very first meeting, it can build over time with safety, consistency, comfort, and finding just similar hobbies.
Rowena, can I interrupt you for a minute? And I appreciate that. Like, I want to get to chemistry, and I did mention that. But when I started reading more about commitment phobics type, kind of like to address that a little bit, because to get into the chemistry, I think sometimes you got to work on your own problems and recognize them. Would you guys agree, or ladies agree? I mean, like, I want to kind of focus on the commitment part. Like, can I just ask you this for a quick, just to take it in reverse for a minute?
Sure.
Can someone recognize if they have a commitment problem? Because I heard you say it, and I heard it on another, I've watched YouTube and this kind of stuff, but 0 to 2, sometimes the things that happen in your life and why you have issues can be way down in your subconscious. Mm-hmm. So how can one be aware before they start dating if they have those issues? Like, how can you figure yourself out? Do they need to go talk to somebody, or can they say, what's going on here? Why is this not working out for me? Like, how does someone know? Yeah.
Patterns that come along.
Yeah, the patterns through your life. Like, that's hard to recognize that stuff, though. So how do you recognize that?
Very hard. Well, and that's, I think we've talked about this a couple of times, that our brain functions 100% of the time. We are only consciously aware of 5%. So that means all of the other habits, emotions, ways we interact with people, thoughts, come from the subconscious. And the way we begin to notice that something in the subconscious may be a little bit off is like you just said, pattern.
Mm-hmm.
I had someone come in the other day and say, I keep meeting men who speak a different language than I do, and I'm kind of attracted to that. That's one pattern of avoidant commitment behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you can't communicate deeply, you can't have a really committed relationship.
So we have our guest Karen on today, and she's very interested in diving deeper into dating. So I think a lot of times there's a lot of issues when you go on these dating apps and then you never hear from anybody, and that can definitely interfere with your relationships. But she wanted to know the difference between dating and a serial dater. And I think
dating versus serial dating.
Right. And that was one of her questions. But when I did a little bit of homework here, sometimes serial dating, could I be wrong, can identify with a little bit of a phobic type, of not wanting to make a commitment. Do you see what I'm saying? Like serial daters, they just kind of date on the surface. Could that be a little bit of that issue where they don't want to make a commitment? So they just kind of, there's different types of dating, by the way.
Dating is good though.
Yeah.
General dating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dating is good. My definition of serial dating is someone who cannot ever be without a partner.
That cannot be without one?
That cannot be without one.
Yeah.
So they end one relationship and within 2 weeks they're in another one.
Do you think it's once they've achieved that kind of the chase, the high, whatever, and then they've kind of reached the top, then they're like satisfied and they're ready to move on to the next person? Is that a good definition of that or what?
That could be. That is one. There are a number of things that show up that way. Yes. One is, especially for men to women, the chase is hugely important. For women, feeling safe and protected is really important on an unconscious level. Also, is whoever we've been hurt most by, whichever parent in that 0 to 2 or 3 age, we hold beliefs about that gender. And they come out in various ways. That could also lead to serial dating. Codependence, not knowing enough about yourself and finding your own validity in your partner, that can lead to serial dating.
I was going to say, because that's where someone doesn't. Codependency is actually the opposite of what we would think, not being professionals. That codependency is actually when you need somebody by your side all the time. Is that right?
Right.
Yeah.
To make you feel worthy.
Yeah.
Validate you.
Yeah.
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 And to completely validate anything and everything you do. The problem with that is that then it becomes a passive aggressive situation where you do say, I'm doing all these wonderful things for you. Why aren't you doing anything for me?
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. That leads to resentment. That was what I said.
Yeah, when we were talking about patterns, and I just realized something in me, like when we were talking about non-committal, after having a long-term marriage, I wasn't interested in really wanting relationships around me all the time. So my pattern was dating long distance. That way I didn't.
Safe.
Yeah.
It was safe, and it was like a honeymoon all the time. I've had several, and they were long-term, but it was not like a solid relationship that you would have somebody 30 minutes away, because it's, it's not as much time. And that was my way of putting my arm out and not having to commit. And
but see, you learned about yourself, because last week we talked about dating, that even if you do date and you are a serial dater, you're learning more about yourself.
Sure.
So
it takes time.
Would you say, Rowene, that it's, and Trish, chime in, Ed, you chime in too, but would you say it's kind of safe to really understand your personality at some point in life? You really have to understand your personality. And that's a hard thing to take a look at yourself, to break some of those patterns that might not have worked in your life or that you might want to change. Is that like even a commitment issue? Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say. Unfortunately, we live in a country that very much focuses on the superficial. And how that impacts the culture is that people don't turn within. There's always it's somebody else's fault.
Right.
And it's, I don't know, and that somebody else can be God. It can be the neighbor. It can be anyone, except taking personal responsibility. And so, yes, you do need to do the introspective work and get to really know yourself. Especially if you're having challenges in dating, or if you have a cycle of patterns that don't work out well for you.
So can I add, does anyone have anything to say at this point, including you, Ed, DJ Ed? Anybody?
Well, we say it probably every time that dating is so different than it was back then, as we call it. And if, by the second date, that if I'm not giving out my banking information because it's a sign of non-commitment, that's the way it goes. I mean, you're going to get a piece of me every time. And when it comes to, there's sort of a connection, that doesn't mean I'm going to take you to meet my friends right away, because I don't want some sort of a freak order and somebody not taking their medication or whatever that happening. So it could be a while until they say, well, why don't you introduce me to so-and-so and so-and-so? It's just a time when I feel right about it,
I agree.
And the long distance thing, no. No. I know this FaceTime and all that, but that doesn't help when, hey, 15 minutes, meet me for dinner. That just doesn't happen. And then you go a long time, and then your mind starts to wonder, haven't talked to them in a day or two. So no.
Ed, I'm glad you brought that up, because Detective Jay is also going to talk about ways that men need to protect themselves too, because there are different, when dating, I'm just saying that you got to be careful dating. And Detective Jay is going to talk a little bit, not just for women, because there are some women out there that are you got to be careful not to be.
Both sides have to.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's on both sides. Everything's equal, in this game. But she was going to talk about, you don't want a woman coming after your wallet.
She might have an agenda.
That's
sure.
By the second date, that's easy to determine.
Yeah, you say
that. Listen. I can't stand men that ask women out and then ask them to pay their own way. Yeah. Or, I forgot my wallet.
Yeah. That's an old one. They really
can't stand that. Listen, if you don't have a lot, it gets a little expensive dating these days.
Yeah.
But if you just, if your budget's small, you just go out for drinks and leave it at that.
Yeah.
And then maybe the second or third, you establish, okay, well, let's go out for dinner. And if I'm on a date and a woman pulls her wallet, I'm like, seriously, that's kind of embarrassing to me.
And for you, and I think that's a generational thing too. Sometimes,
even if one of my friends that are women, when I say, "Hey, let's meet for lunch," I never make them pay.
Yeah,
Jesus.
That's sweet.
So when do you want to go to lunch, Ed?
So I saw that so many times in the club.
Your husband will be going. You have to pay for two.
Okay.
I saw that so many times in the club, where the bill would come and then he'd go up and go to the bathroom, and the woman would pay, and I'm like, what a loser.
Yeah.
Move on.
Conveniently, time to go to the bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and I think too, and I did want to. Oh, go ahead, Rowena. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to contribute to that. I had a male friend who had met someone on a dating app and had invited them out, and they wanted to go to a 5-star restaurant to meet. And he said, well, no, I'd like to meet you in a park and go for a walk where we can really talk to one another. And she immediately said no and ghosted him.
Well, so, you can ask for something inexpensive, like, hey, let's pick up some coffee and go to the park.
Right.
I mean, and I've seen funny stories on the internet where a guy takes a woman out and for take home, she orders for the rest of the family. So,
Right.
I mean, that's the time to get up and walk out.
Or takes out her Tupperware.
Of course, pay your bill and then walk out.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, this stuff can happen on both sides or with everybody for sure. So I want to, the time's going by so quick, but can we go really quick to the serial dating? And also I'm going to go back there, but I also want to talk about the different types of dating. So there's casual dating, committed dating, because to your point, Karen, as far as you had asked earlier about serial dating, but there are different, there's casual dating, there's committed dating, and there's open relationships, and there's monogamous relationships. And in my opinion, open relationships kind of went under serial dating. From what I read, it says where individuals have agreed to be open with each other about dating other people. Does that make sense to you for serial dating? Because it says that you should have agreed to be open that you're dating other people.
Well, I think that's kind of just dating, though, at that stage.
But here it says casual dating involves spending time with someone without a long-term commitment or expectation of a romantic relationship. That's casual.
I always thought open relationship was two committed people, and that's the core, but they have other little flings on the side. That's just
they're open to
other opportunities.
But when you're dating other people, right?
Today, that's called consensual non-monogamy.
Yes, I've heard that term.
That's a new word.
Yes, that's the new term for the type of open relationship that you're talking about. It's consensual non-monogamy.
They're making it complicated.
Well, that's monogamous relationships. But in my opinion, knowing there's different types of relationship, and to your point, Karen, I kind of feel like these apps should group what one wants. So you don't have to ask that, because you had mentioned, do you tell them at the very beginning? She's asking for a date. He wants to Juno. You're the best looking thing. We have a dog in here, Juno, more than a dog. So
I think it's great. Honestly, if you can kind of get all that out up front. I went on a lunch date the other day, and we just kind of talked about things you're looking for. It doesn't mean you're like going to fall right into it, but it just kind of eliminates all the question marks if you're just not interested in maybe going down that road for long term or not. It's just doesn't mean you're a match made in heaven. It's just kind of like takes the pressure off. Just take the pressure off and then have fun.
Yeah, because when people go on an app, and I don't know much about dating apps, but when they go on, people have different what they want.
They have status
and
on
it
there.
doesn't make it right or wrong for everybody, right? We don't judge everybody by one person, whatever. So if you have casual dating, committed dating, open relationship, I think that these apps should maybe have something where it's grouped. So then They do.
They have usually casual dating is an option.
Okay.
Long-term relationship is as an option. I think like friends with benefits are possibly even on there.
Oh my gosh.
And that might want
I'm not judging
for something like that. But
yeah,
I mean,
it's
all on there.
Okay.
If they're honest in what they're putting.
Well, gosh.
See, that's the thing.
Well, I don't know much about that, but again, this is a modern world. So,
yeah.
Rowene, what's your comment on that?
Well, my comment on that is when you're just starting to exchange messages on apps, that's a little soon to ask, what are you looking for?
That's what I had read.
But the first time you meet in person, that's a perfectly appropriate time to talk about what your ideas and expectations are.
Right. Well,
and what each of you are looking for in terms of the style of relationship.
Yeah, I think so too. And that way, you're just getting to know somebody. So there's no investment at that point, and I feel like it's.
But can I be the rap here? Because this is what, like going to lunch. So we like to have, play a devil's advocate, if you will, a little bit. So I read where it said, because you had asked that, should I say something at the very beginning? We've been talking about Trish, Ed, Phil.
In person.
Yeah, in person. So on your first date, it says, while it's good to understand someone's dating goals, directly asking, what are you looking for on the first date can feel too serious or pushy, is what an article I read. I'm just saying, it's generally better to focus on getting to know each other and having fun and engage and enjoy each other's company before diving into a long-term intention, because it can feel too serious. It might scare someone off and it can be misinterpreted. So instead, directly asking about intentions, there's other approaches, because you don't want to, do you understand what I'm saying? Like maybe do it indirectly, because someone might feel like they're being pressured for
but we're not
immediate
20.
commitment.
We're not 20.
I know, but
I'm not looking for a father for my children.
But if you sat down with me right now and said, "What are you looking for?"
I would not ask you like that.
Okay, how would you ask me? We're role play. Ed, maybe she should role play with you.
No. First off, let's make it clear.
Perspective.
If you're messaging, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you got to see the person in person
before
you get any more information, because boy, they don't show up the same as their picture. There's no Photoshop when they walk in the door.
Yeah.
So,
but I think not even that. I think you may think you don't want a committed relationship, and then after you've spent time with someone, that your whole mind can change. You could say, "Wow, this person is really more than I could ever expect, and I want to build a life with you."
But if you're halfway through the date and the guy's not feeling it, and she comes out and says, "What are you looking for?" You want me to be brutally honest?
Yeah, not you.
Something that doesn't include you.
Right.
I mean, so, so you kind of, and left it. And then if you want to be a gentleman about it and say, "Hey, look, I don't think it's going to work out."
Yeah.
But I feel like on a first date, you feel like if you're vibing with somebody.
The best thing to do is when you say goodbye, say, "Maybe we'll do this again," and leave it like that. Maybe.
But I personally feel like, after listening to what y'all are saying, and this is the wrap part, this is why we give our opinions. It doesn't make it right or wrong. But I think I would wait till 2 or 3 dates before I said, "What are you looking for?" Yeah. I would wait maybe about the 3rd date. Personally.
Plus, I think you would start to know. You have a gut feeling. You can tell if,
but don't always assume.
Don't always assume, but you can kind of tell if it's going somewhere. You can.
That's my point. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't say that to somebody if I met them and I immediately thought, "Oh, wow, we are not a match. I don't feel anything." I wouldn't ask that. But if I feel the chemistry, I'm sorry, we're going to have to bring that word up, and I feel it's reciprocated. And we are, you can feel the banter is going well, and you both want to go out again. I'm just generally asking.
No, I think it's good.
We've been dating. In our past, we've both been married. We've both had kids. It's not like we're new to this game.
But compatibility is the key.
Well, you talk at the same time. What are your likes and dislikes? Yeah. It's not like an interview question that you've got the job or you don't have the job.
Right. That's the thing.
It's, are you qualified?
But you don't want to corner someone and make them run, because to me it's like but there's no right or wrong answer. There's no right or wrong. It's what's right for you. And if asking them on the first date is the right answer, then that's the first.
I feel it just kind of takes the guesswork out of it. And if it
maybe the 3rd.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like.
Oh, yeah. No, because you want to know what type of dating they're doing. So I think we're probably on the same page. You want to make sure they're not.
The first date, I'm assuming everybody's dating other people too. I never assume they're not.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. So anyway, but it's such an and there's no right or wrong answer. And I respect that. And I think it's such, for men and for women and for everybody, it's dating in a modern world. So I think it's so good that we're putting it on the table. But I personally also feel that it's good to get involved in activities, because I think sometimes the dating apps, because it's such a yes/no resume thing, that it's impossible to really get to know someone like back in the older days.
Right. And that's why there are groups and apps that are activities like meetups. They have certain activities within the meetups.
Right. And do what you're
like
interested
golfing
in.
Or art, or you like fine dining. I mean, find like-minded people.
And you went golfing because you love to golf.
Right.
And you've met a lot of nice people.
I have.
And then you're going to have that thing that's going to help you grow and something to talk about.
And I love to cook. So you find people that like to cook or whatever.
You are a very good cook. I don't know, whoever you end up with is going to be very lucky. I'm going to let y'all know. I can vouch for her for the cooking. She's. We have a caller with a question. Oh. I have listeners out there. Again, you're listening to the Shrink and Wrap Show, and I got a caller. Let's take it in.
Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Well, I've been listening very closely to this conversation because I'm very interested in this new conversation that we're about to embark on. And I like to agree with Tracy on this. I think that you need to leave that information and those questions for 3 or 4 days down the road. Because to me, I'm listening, I think it's a visual. You have to see somebody or you have to meet with them. Then you have to have a mental connection. and then an emotional connection, maybe, then the physical falls into place. I just think that that's too soon to jump down. What do you do, and what are your interests, and how are we going to consummate this relationship?
I'm not sure that's really what we were saying, but I don't think it's jumping down per se. I think it's just a general question.
No, yeah, and I think it's very good. It's nothing. And I appreciate that, because there's no right or wrong, but it is what you want. And you might have two people that want the same thing, but if you really like someone, I think it's important to maybe tactfully and kind of go in. But I agree. You want to say, I'm not here. I don't want to date multiple people. I want to know, are we on the same page?
Well, I don't know if I'm actually even saying that. I'm just saying, are you eventually open to
Oh, okay. That's well said.
A committed relationship. Not today.
Right. Okay.
No.
Yeah. So I think it's very important.
Or are you just getting out of something and you have no intention of wanting to grow with somebody right now?
Right. You want to be very, very clear.
Are you on the same
Yeah, because you don't
page?
want to waste your time.
Exactly.
And I agree with you.
No. I'm not asking for commitment up front. No.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Where your head's at.
Yeah, where your head's right. And I agree with you. And I thank you, caller, for that. And so anyway, but it's very tricky. And I think, Rowena, are you still with us?
I am, but I am going to have to go.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah.
There's one more question or comment, I'll be happy to answer it. And then I have to go.
Well, can you give us a closing statement? Because we're already at 3:43. Do you have a closing statement for today's topic of what are you looking for? Commitment phobic, right? Do you have any closing statements?
What I would say most is trust your intuition when you meet somebody. And if it flows and it's a good question, I went out on my personal dating, went out with a guy. We had a nice dinner. He asked me what I was looking for. And I shared that with him. And he looked at me and said, how many dates do we have to go on before I get that?
He said, how many dates do you have to go on before that? Did you say, I got to go? Bye-bye.
Yep. I was going to say, so sometimes people have ulterior motives for asking those questions.
And maybe that's for the right person, but it could also be for the wrong person. So there's no right or wrong. But if it were me, I would have said, I got to go. Bye. I ain't having a check.
I don't know. There's not a number on it.
Yeah, and it might be right for somebody else. There's no judgment, and everybody's got, to each its own. But Rowena, can you give your phone number in case anybody has any more information they'd like to ask you personally, or maybe find out about themselves?
Yeah, if they'd like to work on finding out those subconscious things that are driving them.
Yeah.
And their patterns. My number is 813-857-2401.
Rowena, thank you so much for that. And again, thank you for your patience with me with these shows. Coming through for me. And again, I want everybody to understand this is suggestions and opinions. And with Rowena, she's volunteering time, but it is suggestions and opinions only on this show. This is your community station. You're listening to the Shrink and Wrap Show right here. We're talking about modern dating in today's world. And we have a wonderful guest, Karen, and we have our nonprofit. But let's go to our main song.
The wizard got them
I'm live in the building. I dance on my dance here. You ready? Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Where them fans at? Hit me one time. Oh, 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 I got my boots on the ground. Yeah. Oh, 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 I got my boots on the ground. Where the fans at? Get up by your seat. Let your body move. Cowboys and cowgirls are feeling the groove. Sipping on moonshine, fire barrel rolling. I'ma get behind that thing, girl, and hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Whoa, oh, 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 got my boots on the ground.
So get your boots on the ground while you're dating and get to know yourself. And, good luck with everything, because I know it's going to happen.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. There's a lot to think about today. Look at this little puppy.
I know.
You know I love her. By the way, that was called Boots on the Ground, and that is by 803 Fresh. But I think he meant to say 813 Fresh.
Yes.
I think he made a mistake.
There's
but
a typo.
That's a pretty cool song.
It
Isn't
is a very cool song.
All right. So because it's such an interesting topic, we're going to switch over to nonprofit Trish, and then we're going to come to Detective Jay. So Trish, you have an announcement. You want to recognize a veterinarian out at Dade City, right?
Yes. First of all, big shout out to Blake Veterinary Hospital. That's Dr. Jonathan Blake. He's a UF graduate and a graduate of UF Vet School as well. And when there was kind of no hope for my dog with congestive heart failure, he and his staff thought out of the box, and they actually came up with a cure. And my dog is here today because of them.
Yes.
So I would recommend everybody, just my own personal recommendation, suggestions and opinions, but Blake Veterinary Hospital, that's in Dade City. And it's Blake Vet Hospital at yahoo.com. If you'd like to send them an email, if you have any questions, they answer quickly. I can't say enough good things.
And I've heard your story, and it sounds like his heart is more into it than, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of great vets out there, but it is nice that
to have someone look at it a little bit differently and come up with a solution instead of maybe ending a life when maybe you don't have to, a pet's life.
Yeah. Well, we're glad your doggy's feeling
Thank you.
Okay. What do we got going on before we go to Detective Jay?
Okay. And Karen, just get a dog and, go walk. Yeah.
She has.
I have grand dogs too.
Oh, there you go.
That I can borrow.
Yes.
Scooby-Doo right there.
Yeah. I've got this one too.
That's a great way to meet. And if your dog likes the person,
I know.
Yeah, it's
Look, can I just ask you a question? If the dog does not like your date, Ed,
goodbye.
If your dog does not like your date, are they in or out?
Out.
Totally.
I agree.
Okay. April 25th, Fashion Fun Secure Tampa at the Motor Enclave. It's a runway fashion show featuring children battling cancer and raising funds and awareness for pediatric cancer research. It's a nationwide tour that'll be here in Tampa on the 25th. So it's registertampabay.com/event/Fashion Fun Secure Tampa for more info on that.
That's great.
April 26th, and we talked about April being Autism Awareness Month. So it's the Unmasking Autism Gala presented by the Florida Elks Charity, and it's their premier fundraising event for children's therapy services, which of course is dear to my heart, OTPT therapy and speech, 6 to 11 p.m. at the Hilton St. Pete Bayfront. www.unmaskingautism.com for more info on that. April 26th, the Clearwater Marine Aquarium is hosting the Aqua Gala on the island. It's a black tie event to support rescue, rehab, and release of marine life, and it's a key fundraiser for the aquarium. And TV personality Sean Daly will be emceeing that event.
Oh, you remember Sean Daly?
So that's the aquagala.org.
Was Sean Daly? I got to look him up.
Yeah.
Okay.
And last but not least, May 3rd, Lift Your Spirits at the Derby. It's a Kentucky Derby themed party with a hat contest, photo opportunities, and silent and live auctions benefiting Learning Independence for Tomorrow, which is also called LIFT. So the LIFT Academy and LIFT University Transition Program benefits from this. liftflorida.org for more info, and that's at the St. Pete Coliseum.
That's so nice. Thank you for taking the time out. And again, you're listening to the Shrink and Wrap Show right here at 106.1 Tan Talk Radio. And this show is all about love. It's a balance of love. So we like to give back, take in love, and it's finding love to make the world go around. So that's what it's sponsored on. So thank you so much for all that.
You're welcome.
So we have Detective Jay on the line, and on our show, we have a lot of women, and I always invite men, and we love men, but I definitely want her to talk about how men also need to be careful out there dating. And she brought this up, and I thought it was a great topic. So Detective Jay, what would you say about men out there in this modern world of dating? What do they need to be aware of? Thank you for joining us today.
Know that the weather over in Orlando is amazing. It's wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah.
No.
Really nice. We're doing this remotely.
Nice. Yes. Thank you.
When I was a detective, just a police officer, you have scams that come up. And I think that are really the best. at drawing men in, especially let's go to a date, let's, go out. Things that men have to be careful with, just like women, when you're on a date, sure that something's not put in your drink. Make sure you are not getting that tipsy way because, hey, we're going to get more comfortable with each other, because it has been known for women to go into men's pants and take their wallets out and use that credit card, buy stuff online. And then by the end of the day, $1,000 is racked up on somebody's credit card, right?
They're getting there for the credit cards.
Well, it's easy to take pictures. It's easy to do things when people get a little tipsy. So I would just tell men to be vigilant.
Yeah.
Be vigilant. Don't get sucked in. The other thing that's really important, and I think it's on both sides, make sure if you're just not comfortable, like with giving your phone number out, get a Google voicemail, get a burner phone. It doesn't cost much, and especially Google voicemail is free. If you have a Gmail account, you can get a free Google voicemail and a phone number. In fact, I used one when I was a detective. It works great because you're able to give them that phone number. And in the end, if it's something that, you don't want somebody to have your private number, you need to keep things very guarded. And as you were talking about when I was listening to the show, you don't need to be ever give out personal information to somebody that you just started dating, or you're into that date, maybe 2 or 3 dates. It's still, those things need to stay private. So those are just a couple things you can do to keep yourself safe. And I think the biggest thing, if you're a guy and you start feeling like something's not right, it's not right. So just end it.
Yeah, there was a sad story in the news during Super Bowl where there was a reporter that got on. I don't know if you remember that, but
yes, a reporter.
I'll let everyone do their research on that. But so anyway, everyone's safe, and we just want everybody matters, and be safe in the dating world, because it is a modern world of dating. So, Detective Jay, any closing statements before?
Well, I would just say what you just brought up about that case is you would think that gentleman was a well-known journalist, and you would that a person in that kind of business, you talk about being guarded. So if it can happen to someone like him who is creditable, you just have to. My closing statement is just be very guarded and get yourself a second number. It doesn't cost you anything. Google voicemail or burner phone.
Yeah. Well, and that's so good to know. I mean, because it's just, you just never know.
You can't be too careful.
Yeah. So thank you for all of that.
You're not giving out your phone number. You're not giving your personal number out. And if it's something you want to block or you want to discontinue, you've done it on a line, and it doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, and
you do have to be careful for opportunists. Men need to be careful for opportunists.
And
they just do. And
great. Women can be big opportunists, and they're looking for deep pockets a lot of times. You have to be very careful.
Yeah. Well, it's got to guard yourself, and for both sides. So for everybody.
It's hard to hear that about us, our gender, but it's true.
Yeah. Well, Detective Jay, I'm so glad that you brought that topic up for me, because no one ever thinks that men have to worry, but they do. So thank you for sharing that. And then we'll go next week. You'll have more tips when in dating in a modern world. I really appreciate that. And you and Hollywood Chris have a wonderful time out there in Orlando.
Have fun.
Yeah, they're in a cabin by themselves in Disney.
Wonderful horseback ride today on 750 acres. It's beautiful.
Nice.
Everybody enjoy the weekend.
Wow.
All right.
You too. We'll
Happy
see you next
Easter.
week.
All right.
Yeah. Happy Easter. Take care. Okay. Do we have Renee on? Renee? Is she on? So again, you're listening to the Shrink and Wrap Show. We're talking about modern dating. We're going to have a series, so you have to come back next Thursday. And again, this show is all about a balance of love. The common denominator is love. This is our community, and we want you to know that you matter and everybody matters. And we're just talking about a very popular topic of modern dating. So Renee, we've got about 3 minutes. Are you there? Oh, Ed's working on getting her here. So she'll be talking about entertainment, where it might be a good place to go and meet somebody. Karen, where's your go-to place to meet somebody? Do you have any places?
I don't really think I have a go-to. I don't think about it that way. I just think about if there's music. I love live music.
Right.
I like a good energy somewhere.
Right.
somewhere close, somewhere, I don't know.
Yeah, so is she on? Okay, well, maybe we're able to have some good
I'm here,
maybe she will.
there. Yeah, maybe you'll have some good topics where people can go and mingle.
Hello.
Hi, how are you, Renee?
Oh my gosh. Hi, ladies. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you for calling in and doing our entertainment. What's going on around Tampa Bay?
Okay, because it's Easter weekend, I have to touch on that. So happy Easter ahead of time, everyone.
Same to you.
There's some really fun events for young little kids. One I'm going to shout out is the Tampa Bay's largest Easter egg hunt is at Julian B. Riverfront Park. Mm-hmm. They're going to put thousands of eggs throughout the park. There'll be photos with the Easter Bunny and mimosas for the adults, face painting. Mm-hmm. You can get the information on time at Tampa's downtown.com. Mm-hmm. So it's Tampa with an S.
Is there an age limit on that?
No, I know. Well, mimosas, I would think we can join in. Pretty soon we'll be looking for the golden egg. And then in Busch Gardens is also, while they're having their food and wine festival continuing, their Plain White Tees are going to be playing Saturday the 19th at 7 p.m. But also they're having an Easter weekend, and the food and wine, they'll be having a brunch served that day at the Treetop Kitchen, which includes the ticket. But they're also having a golden egg hunt, and they're putting hundreds throughout the park. I guess you're supposed to find it and then go up to guest relationships, and they're going to give you a prize, whatever you pick.
That's nice. We have a minute and 30 seconds left. Actually, you have 30 seconds. Oh, okay. Sorry, 30 seconds.
Well, that's okay. If you like being at the beach, Pier 60 has a sugar sand festival.
Oh, I've seen pictures. It's beautiful.
Did you ever go to that?
No, let's all go. I want to go.
Let's do.
Yes, seriously.
And then we'll go to the Easter egg hunt.
Yeah, there you go. Get a golden egg. It's like the Golden Bachelor. That's right. No, I'm not claiming that. I'm not claiming that yet.
There's one thing, you guys, I wanted to tell you one more thing, because we're kind of getting to the point where we're losing the Rays here. Yeah. This weekend at Steinbrenner Field, they have a 4-day Rays baseball against the Yankees. Okay. The stadium has been filling up here in Tampa Bay, but when you go over to across the bridge, it wasn't filling up because I guess there was a lot of people that didn't want to cross the bridge or whatever, but
20
there
seconds.
Are 4 games.
1 minute.
Go to the games.
1 minute.
I'm done.
All right. I'm sorry. You're done. We'll go to the Rays. We're going to the sugar, and we're going to find the sugar
golden
sand.
Egg.
And yeah, you got it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. So now, sorry, Renee, we'll see you soon. I'm going to end today. Okay. Thank you so much for all that. So we're going to end today that I want you to know, always in the closing statement, love isn't finding someone to live with. It's finding someone you can't live without with. Take a listen to this next song, because this one's in love every day of the week. Have a great week. We'll see you next week on the Shrink and Rap Show at TAN Talk Radio.
Baby, I've been tripping about you daily. I've been out of my mind, looking all kind of crazy. Oh, hope you know I'm not greedy.